Assistant Secretary Hidalgo said, "We are all aware that one of the identified weaknesses in our present teaching learning process is the development of critical thinking." This presentation is about developing analytical and divergent thinking through problem-based learning and active learning approach, which is both essential to critical thinking. I am Rowena Angwas. Please be with me through this discussion. Ponder about this statement. Give the students a fact. They will pass the examinations tomorrow. Teach them think, and they will be a lifelong learners. As an educator, have you thought about this? Then if you do, what are the measures do you perform? It's been a long decade since educators were developing learning methods that would support the development of student ability to think. The need to teach higher order thinking skills is not a new one. Accordingly, as far as back 1967, schools lacked emphasis on thinking. Memorization, drill, homework, the 3 R's, and the quiet classroom were rewarded, while inquiry, reflection, and the consideration of alertiveness were frowned upon. Numerous educators have had exerted efforts to materialize the achievement of the learning objectives in teaching these higher order thinking skills. As a recent educator, we must take part of it. In order to have a better understanding, we will define first what is analytical and divergent thinking. What is analytical thinking? Analytical thinking skill is the ability to visualize, articulate, and solve both complex and uncomplicated problems and concepts and make decisions that make sense based on available information. Such skills include demonstration of the ability to apply logical thinking to gathering and analyzing information, designing and testing solutions to problems, and formulating plans. Being a part of critical thinking is being defined as the intellectual discipline process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, and evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. Critical thinking is defined as a mental process of analyzing or evaluating information. Critical thinking is necessary for the achievement of good citizenship, since the primary aim of social studies is the promotion of civic competence, the knowledge, intellectual processes, and the democratic dispositions required students to be active and engaged participants in a public life. How the students would achieve these goals if educators had just given them facts? Students must be exposed on the real-life situations. Students gain enduring intellectual abilities which they can use. They will be empowered learners and citizens who will think and act more effectively. One of the most important skills in developing HOTS or higher order thinking skill, critical thinking, is the divergent thinking. Quoted from Albert Einstein, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the whole world." What is divergent thinking? Divergent thinking is a method or processes of thinking that aims to generate a lot of ideas about a single topic in a relative short span of time. It is like creative approach to problem solving. To seek answers to any question by this thinking process, One, break a question into smaller parts and then information about each part of the question is randomly collected. Once various aspects of the topic are covered, all of them are combined to arrive at a definite answer. The vital element of divergent thinking involves the following: authenticity, imagination, inherent curiosity, calculative risk-taking, simplification, flexibility, affluency, and evaluation. Divergent thinking skills is in broadly creative elaboration of ideas prompted by a stimulus and is more suited to artistic pursuits and study in humanities. Creativity involves adaptability and flexibility of thought. Creativity is a complex construct and is most commonly expressed through the broad range of intelligences, including linguistics, musical, mathematical, spatial, kinesthetic, interpersonal, and perhaps even intrapersonal. How can we develop analytical and divergent thinking? I believe that analytical and divergent thinking will be developed through problem-based learning and active learning. What is problem-based learning? Problem-based learning is a student-centered pedagogy in which students learn about a subject in the context of complex, multifaceted, and realistic problems. The goals of PBL are to help students develop flexible knowledge, effective problem-solving skills, self-directed learning, effective collaboration of skills, and intrinsic motivation. How it is done in the classroom? First, the facilitator identifies or designs an ill-structured problem or task relevant to the learners. Facilitator presents the problem to the learners. Learners in their own groups collaboratively generate working ideas or possible, identify available information related to the problem, identify learning issues, identify resources to look up or consult, assign tasks to the various group members, gather information, propose solution. What is active learning? Active learning refers to several models of instruction that focus on the responsibility of learning on learners. According to von Laserfield, learners construct their own understanding and that they do not simply mirror and reflect what they read. Learners look for meaning and will try to find regularity and order in the events of the world even in the absence of full complete information. What are the activities in active learning? Class discussion, think, pair, share, learning cell, short written exercises, collaborative learning group, student debate, reaction to a video, and class game. Here is a sample lesson plan for problem-based learning. For active learning lesson plan, For better understanding, please watch the video.
Along with high performance work groups. So students actually learn the theory and they have an opportunity to practice creating and making their own high performance work group. This classroom was a dream for me then. We talk about the fact that it's really important.
Teachers sometimes generally have this persona of, I'm the teacher, you're the student, I know everything. Well, in this class it was completely different.
So confident.
One of the first things that I noticed when I was in the classroom was the position of the teacher's podium. It was right in the center of the classroom. The students have access to the teacher, and the teacher has access to the students to see, what exactly is going on.
Not having the front of the class means also that you don't have the back of the class, and you don't have a fixed place for the professor to sit. That moved me a little bit out of my comfort zone. I tried to stand in different parts of the classroom so that all of the students would be more physically close to me at one time or another. I think there was a little bit of a discomfort still for the students who were used to the more traditional, let me just go and hide and be quiet in the back of the class. I mean, there's no place to hide in this classroom. Everybody is engaged. The envelopes on your desk have the style that your team is assigned to explore. So you can open those right now, see what your team has. Ready? The round tables have an amazing impact on the teams being able to face one another, to communicate, have good eye contact.
Round tables into discussions. They enable our interactions as a group, as a team.
And also for me to be with them. I could be part of the team at any point to advise and guide them. That was very, very helpful. Another thing about the classroom that had a big impact are the boards behind the tables for the students to work. We used them regularly. It was a wonderful opportunity for the whole team to work together. The students took turns writing, and I think it also made them more confident about speaking out and being in the whole classroom. I mean, that for me was very different. Usually there's a big deal, who's going to be the spokesperson? It's always the same people. But I find the design of the room gave us an opportunity for more of an equality. I think the students, all of the students, felt more engaged, more a part of the team, more a part of the whole class.
We had to collaborate as a team to discover what one could do to help the situation, and we're able to write on the walls and demonstrate our ideas not only to our group visually but to the rest of the classroom.
We actually built the case, the answer to the case in the computer, and for some teams they were able to show the results on the screen.
And since the laptops on the computer are foldable, we're able to just fold them down and see everybody at a table, and share information like that.
So what's going on? An example?
There were students who probably would not have been so engaged in another kind of classroom, who were initially uncomfortable, but I think in the long run they became more comfortable because they were forced to, and then they got used to that. And then they discovered parts of themselves that I think they didn't know were there. That in fact they could speak in a classroom, and they could speak out loud.
This person could possibly end up feeling very isolated because no one will work with them.
That's a pretty powerful idea, Anne. Have you ever heard anybody say that? You've heard somebody say that? You do that? What do you say?
I say that my shortcomings in the beginning, and I say that usually, or I believe that people think that
It's great when you can hear somebody else's ideas, and it's basically a missed opportunity when you don't hear the person expressing their ideas. listening more to other people's opinion, open their minds a little bit, and respect other people's ideas.
Okay, now we have not seen any teen complain about somebody who was not engaged, who pulled out, who had an easy ride, who was a couch potato. Now, isn't that something?
Say your class is snoozing through your lectures. They're texting under the table, playing games on their PDAs. You'd like to try something different, but what and how? Students can't just teach themselves, can they?
In this short video, we'll show you how problem-based learning works in a real classroom.
Just follow these simple steps and in no time you'll be teaching without a net.
Problem-based learning, solving an authentic problem, drives the learning of course content. As you'll see, Photon PBL challenges allow you to introduce the method slowly, using 3 levels of presentation. Structured PBL keeps you in control, working through the challenge like a case study. Guided PBL gives students more responsibility for their own learning. And in open PBL, you act as a consultant, providing hints and clues for a price, like losing points on the final grade. No matter how you plan to introduce PBL, you will want to begin by exploring your teacher resources. Besides the resources in each challenge, we have written a complete how-to to get you started. Everything's available through our website. Okay, let's begin. Each challenge starts with an introduction to set the context for the problem. Additional resources are available on the general topic of the challenge. Next, there's an overview of the organization that solved the problem. Again, there are additional resources available on the organization screen. Just click the button. Now it's time for the challenge. A short video shows the problem presented to the actual scientists, engineers, and technicians who solved it. Additional resources on the problem page help your students get started.
This is where students usually look confused and helpless and start to whine for help.
It's time to introduce them to the problem-solving cycle. Each icon in the cycle leads to a whiteboard that walks students through the process. Students need to fill out all of the columns. Skipping steps leads to incomplete solutions that don't address all problem parameters. Students will learn the content they need in order to solve the problem. You can sit back and relax. Just keep groups on target if conversations start to wander. It's okay to give mini lectures on an as-needed basis. Just avoid that urge to talk and give away the whole solution. But what if students get stuck and need a little nudge in the right direction? If your students don't quite have the technical or problem-solving expertise for an open challenge, you can guide them along with a discussion video. This is what we call guided challenge. The discussion is password protected, so you control if and when your students will see it. The discussion provides more resources for self-directed learning. In the end, students present their solutions for peer review. Then you
For the resources, please click the following link. Thank you for viewing. I hope you learned something from my presentation.